In spite of what I think about the logic of vegan arguments at the moment, I will say this, I think, about the underlying moral impetus behind vegan arguments, and that is that I think we will live eventually in a future where it is unnecessary to kill animals for food, or unnecessary to milk livestock for food. And I came to this realization really quite recently. In fact, it was only the other day when I was really thinking about this, because I'm currently in the process of designing a space elevator with my new company, Astrodyne Rocket Jet. And this will be a space elevator designed to reach the Kármán line. It'll probably be the first iteration of a jumping off point of eventually larger space elevators to reach further into space, and just more facilities in space in general. And some people might be able to see where I'm going with this, because I think the only way that we will ever be able to get around having to kill livestock, having to kill animals for food, is probably via culturing meat. And currently, well, the only way we have currently of culturing meat is via using cryogenics, by using liquid nitrogen and culturing it in very cold conditions. So this, of course, makes it not viable at present. It's not viable to culture enough meat for 8 billion people or so to consume on planet Earth, since it would require enormous facilities, huge amounts of liquid nitrogen, too much energy, more energy than we really have at our disposal. However, in the future, I suspect that it might be very possible that we could be using space as a means of a naturally a large reservoir of cryogenic conditions in which we can begin the process of culturing large amounts of meat, and then we can use 3D printing to assemble things such as steaks or roasting joints or whatever we like. And by the time we have these sorts of technologies in place, I suspect it's likely that the 3D printing of tissue will have gotten us to a stage where we are almost more or less printing living tissue, or we're almost able to print even things like organs for ourselves and cuts of meat to eat and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, I believe that one day we will get over our need to farm livestock, that's all to the good. I think if we don't have to kill animals, we shouldn't. And I think one day we will eventually move towards a society whose basis is cultured meat, and will be growing, I think, probably, well, hopefully, maybe everything that we consume in space, probably because it's, we have so much more control over temperature. We don't have to contend with things like the weather. We don't have to mechanically cultivate soil. We can, probably increase yields to a very great extent if we're farming in space using hydroponics and the various techniques that ISS astronauts have been working on, a series of experiments over the last few decades in the cultivation of various plants in space. And it wasn't until 2020, was it 2018, when we cultivated our first crop of radishes aboard the International Space Station, which was not quite hydroponic conditions, but it was in something else. It's in some kind of specially designed space age growing facility for microgravity. But it's conceivable that with space elevator technologies, it wouldn't be possible without space elevator technology. We wouldn't be able to, deliver all the meat back to Earth via landing rockets, I don't think, and this sort of thing. Or, firing back through the atmosphere at Mach 23, and that's just too unrealistic. Uses too much fuel. But no, with space elevators, I think it would eventually be possible to do that. I don't know how many decades or centuries it will be until. I think that's something for next century, I think. Or maybe this century, maybe the end of this century, we'll be in a position where we are over the killing of animals, where we no longer need to farm livestock. However, for the time being, though, we need to be very conscious of yeah, the food that we consume and the carbon footprint of the food that we consume, and the ecological impact of our diets. And I'm afraid to say the best means of ensuring that our diets remain sustainable and environmentally friendly is to buy locally, and it's not to sponsor deforestation with the purchasing of products such as soy and coconut milk and these sorts of things. So yeah, I mean this, I promise you, as a farming person and as an engineer and as someone with a general interest in science, technology, engineering, and maths, this is really the synthesis that I've ended up arriving at. And it's not really veganism either, because I don't really consider the consumption of cultured meat to be a vegan thing, since it is still the consumption of an animal product, in my opinion. And it's sort of consumption of meat, in my opinion. But yeah, that's when we'll get over it, when we can culture enough meat to be able to, convincingly replicate things like steaks and roasting joints and everything else that, we all love. That there's a meat product that if we just banned meat, right, would just be replaced like that by a black market for meat. But yeah, one day I think we'll get over it. I think we will. But a lot needs to be in place before that happens, I think. And yeah, we need space elevators to do it.